Welcome to the latest episode of Branding the Experience, where we discuss ways where we can create environments where employees actually want to come to work and customers want to keep coming back. Hi, I'm Ken Bader, your host for Branding the Experience, here to talk to you today about building a trusted brand. Now, this comes to light recently given a conference that I had the pleasure of attending. Those of you who have already listened to my podcast, Cool Culture Corner, know that I recently went to the New Media Summit, which frankly is an awesome program and event. Whether you're an entrepreneur, author, podcaster, YouTuber, or entrepreneur, it's a great place to not only get some really good ideas, but make some really terrific connections. So kudos to Steve Olsher and his team for the New Media Summit. I'll be going to the one in September as well. But during that summit, he asked, how do you define influence? And the first thing that came to mind was trust from your tribe. Because if you haven't built trust with the consumers, the followers, the customers that you have, it's very hard to get anything done, if anything for that matter. So when you're building a brand from scratch, you have to make sure that you're very focused on building that trust. And how do we do that? Well, one, we do things that we say we're going to do. And I see this a lot with solopreneurs and entrepreneurs. They say, yeah, I'll call you and we'll go for coffee next week. Or, yeah, I will get that proposal to you within 3 days or by the end of the week. Or, yeah, I'll meet you for that meeting at 11 a.m. And they never call about that coffee. You don't get the proposal for a week or two, much less 3 days. And you don't get somebody that comes on time. They don't come at 11. They come at 11:20 and don't make any particular excuses for it or apologize. And that may seem like small things, but when you do that, when you go back on your word, then that erodes trust right from the beginning. I love using the Stephen Covey analogy of emotional bank account, because everything you do is either a plus or a minus. And if you do any of those things that I just mentioned, what happens is you're already withdrawing from an account that doesn't have very many points, or might not have any. You're taking it into an overdraft position right from the start. So brands that are well trusted out there, some of them are big ones like your Southwest Airlines, your Merrill Lynch's, your Goldman Sachs, and a lot of the credit unions that I work with have trusted brands. Landry's Restaurants, which is one of my favorite companies, always offers a great service, and in particular, I'm going to be holding the next police officers credit union conference at one of their locations, and they built trust right from the start. When I asked for something, they delivered it. They got back to me right away. They got me answers. And so I'm already feeling confident that that particular event that I'm running is going to run without a hitch because of the pre-experience that I'm having. So do those little things as you're building a business in order to build a trusted brand. And, if you do mess up, much like I said internally in Cool Culture Corner with your employees, if you do make a mistake, if you do mess up with your consumers, with your customer base, then admit it. Don't try to cover it up. Don't try to sweep it under the rug. For instance, Uber is a good example. They've had a few problems, and they tried to keep it, on the down low. Whether it was paying off a bribe, I believed, when somebody said they had their data held hostage, or some of the issues with the former CEO. All that did was create a aura of distrust I could say personally that I was never, as a consumer, really fond of the Uber brand. I am a big fan of Lyft because almost always they build trust by doing exactly what they say they're going to do. Yeah, I've had the few times I've had issues, they didn't just betray my trust by saying, well, that probably wasn't the case. They said, you know what, maybe our driver was a little off that day. Here's a $10 credit for you. Lyft, to me, has built a brand of trust where that is the only rideshare program I'll use. I might only use them because they would have to go a long way to erode that trust and make withdrawals in the emotional bank account before I thought about switching to another brand. So make sure you're doing those little things, especially at the beginning when you're building a trusted brand. And if you do mess up, admit it and make it right. Because sometimes, even though it may be a withdrawal at first, the actions that you take after the problem could be so much of a deposit that it not only makes up for the mistake, but even gives you a few more points. Thank you for spending some time with me today, and here's hoping that you're branding the experience at a very high level for all those you serve. Take care.